Stop singing. Stop
We
singing.
don't know Ngateto Yambade. Welcome to the Tribe UG podcast, episode number 2, season 3. Before we go any further, 624404. That's not only our Momo code that you can send on money, but it's the number of times I've struggled on this podcast. As you can see, I don't have a mic stand. Everyone else has a mic stand. I don't have a hat. Everyone else has a hat. So from 6244, I think we are approaching 624404. And a plus one because I'm struggling a lot. But all that said, welcome to the Tribe UG podcast again. My name is Felix Biarhanga and I'm with the gang.
Mr. Forbes, how are you, sir?
Yeah, executive producer. Yeah, guys, welcome to the Tribe UG podcast. That's for Abaasa, not you guys. Yeah, but Ian, introduce yourself.
Yeah, what up, Paulo the writer here, episode 2, and today we have a special guest in the building. I will let the count speak and then we'll let the guest introduce himself. And you might want to use proper headphones because it matters.
Man, I was worried that the guest was going to be introduced and they would forget me. But anyway, the Count Markula in the building as always. And as you know, people, I have fought so hard. I came and it was all raps. And I said, no. We must have some good people from, some good people who can sing better than what Felix was doing at the start.
Yep.
The man to my right. Introduce yourself, good sir.
Yeah, my name is Abaasa.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's pretty much it. Introduce myself.
Guys,
Profile.
we want the whole 9 yards.
It's too much, man. We have good vibes. Yeah.
But guys,
okay.
I'm
you
good
might be
energy.
wondering why we're pushing for this intro. But this is a hectic intro. This gentleman who has joined us here today, he studied music professionally.
Yep.
Actually, you know what's funny? I didn't study music.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think I did study music.
Yeah.
I studied
Sound.
audio engineering.
Hey, but this is music.
It's not music, guys.
Yeah,
We're in
well, no,
2023.
First hold on. Wait. You went to Kako first year. That guys went to America to study talk.
No, because I get that misconception a lot. I have no idea about music. Like, I don't understand music theory. I've never studied music theory. I don't know. I just know how to play drums.
You know that clip where they're interviewing Rick Rubin and ask him, what do you do? Like, you sit in studio, do you play an instrument? He's like, no. Do you know how to engineer sounds? Like, no. And like, what do you do? I just tell people what's good.
Yeah.
So clearly you are in these music studios telling people like, that is not good. But welcome to the Tribe UG podcast.
Thank you.
Guys, if you want to know why we're saying this guy studied music, a brief background. He pursued his career as a drummer at first, a live drummer. Then he studied a diploma in audio engineering from SAE Institute, Los Angeles, and completed his undergraduate studies in audio production from SAE Institution, London. After a brief period living and working in Uganda, I was reading everything. As an audio production lecturer and music producer, he studied a master's degree in global entertainment and music business from Berkeley. But Mark should have read this because I saw in the comments they said Mark has an accent.
I was scared you were going to say Bakuli instead of
Bakuli, that is for shout out to my Sisterman people. Berkeley College of Music, Valencia.
Yeah. Indeed, I should have read that.
Yeah.
So
nothing about
my
music
first question
theory.
is, how do you convince an African family?
It cannot be every episode.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm still on VPN. I'm trying to learn which country I'm in. How do you convince an African family like, guys, look, I've gone to the best schools in Uganda. I want to go study music because, as we all know, African families traditionally, they want us to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, things like that.
So my parents were lecturers. My dad a professor in chemistry and my mom in physics.
Hey.
And so their idea of education, they really valued it. So long story short, I was dropping out of MOOC because I went to MOOC saying I want to like draw cartoons and what.
Yeah.
And they're like, instead of doing like BIFA, you first do software, then you'll do your other things later.
Yeah.
So I was studying software, and like third year I was just like, yeah, man, I'm done with this.
This is not for me.
Yeah. But then the way that they valued education was like, okay, I had like a year where I was just chilling, and then after that year they're like, okay, what do you want to study? Because I also value education as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I didn't want to study drums because I knew how to play. So I needed to study something else that was like addition to that. So like me, I talk well, so I can convince someone. Yeah. good English.
We may have another Komusinje whisper.
So that's how they managed to get on board. Yeah.
But to sort of like take it away or take it a step back, earlier you said you didn't study music itself. So can you walk us through what goes into audio engineering, studying audio engineering?
So audio engineering is like how things are set up. So like you understand like the technical parts, right? So that's like mics, cables, mixing, software, right? Understanding how to record, right? How to be an engineer, how to record something that's audio, and how to mix it, how to present it. Yeah, that's pretty much audio engineering. Is like cables, mics, mixing, mastering, recording, how different equipment works. Yeah, so it's a lot of science. We like legit had a module on electric. How is it called?
Don't ask
electricianism. What's the thing?
Before the words disappear again for all of us, guys, send some command to 624404 so we can come back with some better English. But I just wanted to ask the whole process and the whole education background. How do you think it has affected your music? Because in all of this, you're an artist who brings some fire on the mic. And so what's your?
No, I think like having an understanding of how to make things well, like how to record things well, how to mix things well, how like live sound should be. So all of those kind of inform, I guess, what I was. What I was as an artist. So it wasn't a thing of like, let's just go on vibes. It was like, technically you have to sound great, right? You have to know which mics sound great. You have to know how to use the mic. You have to know how to use the software. You have to know how to sound on stage. You have to know how like film would sound. So a lot of the music videos not actually a lot of them, maybe some of them, the music videos that we did try and do like sound design and stuff like that. So yeah, it did inform in live recording and video as well. Yeah.
But as somebody that has studied audio engineering, I know we tend to have we don't really specialize in this industry. You find that somebody who knows a bit of sound engineering is going to do sound on a movie, is going to do sound on a podcast, is going to do sound in a studio. But as somebody that has studied it, is there such a significant difference that somebody must actually specialize in order to produce the highest quality in whatever content?
I get you. I think one of the advantages from school, so school doesn't necessarily teach you stuff. It gets you access to people, right? So you get networks, but then it also gives you reasoning. So like a lot of the engineers that we have who are working on stage or working in studios didn't necessarily go to school. So they'll do a thing, like I'll make a decision, but then they don't necessarily know why they're making that decision. And so that's what school helps you with. It just gives you like, okay, why am I adding this? Is because this and this and this. Yeah. So I think that's how I would answer that. Is like you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're thinking about why you're making that decision. Yeah. So the industry will still move. I just think like the education, how it helps is giving you rationale behind why you're making certain decisions. You're not just kind of doing it because this is how things have been done. Like the guy who taught me this thing told me press this button, and then the guy who's pressing the button says I press this button because of that, and then you come in and you're like, but then you don't know why you're pressing the button.
Hasn't that brought you a bit of a challenge? Because for projects where you've worked with other producers or other artists, for you come from an informed perspective, and you're dealing with somebody who knows you have to press this button. I don't care why, but you have to press it. So how has that been when you're working with people that have had to learn on the job? Because I know you may come off like you have kajanja.
True.
Yeah. So how do you manage
It
that
does take
relationship?
time. I think fine, kajanja, or a lot of English. You've come with a lot of English, which is cool. But then the few people who I actually make really good work with actually understand maybe where I'm coming from, or they've watched a YouTube video and they're like, oh, this guy was, am I allowed to cuss? Yeah. And they're like, oh shit, this guy was actually talking about the same, stuff that Abaasa was talking about. So it's like you have to know, like you have to read the room.
Yeah.
There are some people where it's like, this is, I think in the creative business, there's a bunch of ego, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to understand, like, who am I talking to? What matters to them? Is it like improvement, growth? Do they have a growth mentality? Or is it like they know everything and you can't change? If they know everything, just shut up. Just be in the studio and be quiet. You get it? If someone is like, you know what, I actually don't know how to do this thing.
Yeah.
Could you help me? Or it's like a bunch of people play me songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you want me to listen to? Like, tell me, like, if it's for vibes, man. Me, I'm like, yeah, it's a good song. It's an okay song. Like, what's happening, man? I'm vibing. I could hear this in Bandali or whatever. But if someone asks, like, hey, listen to this song, how do you feel about the vocals? How do you feel about the sax or the bass or whatever? And then I can give you an informed, because that's someone with a growth mindset. They're thinking about, like, I want to improve this song, so let me use this guy's expertise or whatever. Yeah.
So are you actually, because I feel like that kind of ruins listening to music for you.
Yeah. Watching movies, listening to music. I think maybe about 2018, I actually switched it off. And now I just go like, you legit find me in Natete or in Bandali. And I'm just like vibing to this really lousy mix. So I'm just like, boom, 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 boom. Like, before I was just like, yeah, man, there's something like, a certain frequency or whatever, like some technical jazz or whatever. But now it's just like, yeah, like just enjoy art. And I think storytelling the medium doesn't matter. You get it? Like Captain Alex is like crazy, right? But like they still tell a story. So the medium doesn't matter, the format doesn't matter. It's just like, how do you tell a story? And that's where I am now. Like personally, I'm just like enjoying what people are creating. Yeah.
That must be so hard, because I know that even us who have not studied stuff about it, I know there's that time where you listen to a project, you're like, okay, let's listen to this. You've seen some boot tweets. Everyone has said, oh my god, it's the best. So you're like, okay, let's check it out. You listen to the first song and like the hook checks in and it's off key, and you're like, like no one like that's what they do. Like I shouldn't, like, how and I don't understand.
If someone asks me, I'll switch it on.
And I always tell people, like, the worst part about it is I don't know how to lie, and I don't know how to hide my face, like, man. Like, even when I try to keep quiet, the face just says so like you're there and you're like, please don't ask me, because if you ask, but you've worked with so many artists in the industry, and that's one of the extra reasons why we felt, Abaasa would be a great guest.
I actually love hip hop, because I legit started in hip hop, not like as a rapper, but yeah.
I know, I've seen him rap. By the way, guys, I used to go for like a cover, but and one of the things, and actually that's one of the first times I saw you live. It was Lillian and the Sundowners at Cayenne back then, that Wednesday thing, and Lillian has this song with the Myth, Could It Be You? And one of those days where the Myth is not in the audience, for them to call him out, I just see Abaasa going to the mic like, not trying to front, but I'm here like, hey, what's happening? And it's always dope for us to see people in different elements. Let's see, because we've seen or heard you sing. I would say heard because Ian doesn't go anywhere. We don't take him, so we've seen you sing live. We've watched stuff, videos, songs. Then there's that rapping experience. Then there's the drums. Then there's just so much. Like, how do you sometimes sit back and be like, but I'm a bad guy?
No, you never do.
No,
you never do.
Just checking, because like you said, in the industry, how everyone can be like, I does it.
I think that's one of the things that I valued about like growing up was it was like if something is interesting, just jump into it, right? So even drums, it was like this guy, he's called Timothy Mwaka. He works in a church now, and he was like, "Hey man, we're like, what was that? 12, 13, something like that." And he's like, "What neighbors?" And he's like, "Yo man, there's this thing starting at the church. We're doing like a youth band thing. Do you want to come through? I heard you play drums." I'd never ever played drums. ever played drums. But I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm ready. And like you get to the rehearsal and like thankfully, so there was a guy, he's called Marcus Chirio. He was the youth pastor and he was so helpful because he could play a little and he would like just kind of be like, "Hey, let me show you a little bit." And what was the advantage is that everyone was learning. So there was, I think maybe like a gem here is like, you have to be in a place where no one judges you to be able to like innovate. So all the projects that I've jumped into are places where I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And if I'm interested in it, I'll just jump into it. I'll fail a number of times and then that will help me like, sort of get better. So any project it is like, just try it. Try it once. Even this is like, like, let's just go. If it pans out, maybe I'll see these guys again.
It's the beauty of having people that don't judge you is something we find it's really underrated. Because I tried to rap, but all my friends judged me.
I'm judging you right now,
including him.
We're like, instead of rapping, let's talk about people rapping.
Like, how good are you with that computer? First try IT. Let's see.
Ian's rapping will take Uganda's hip hop 10 years back.
But that was a good time, though.
10 years back and take away all the building we've done. But so you come back, you start lecturing audio and music production. And I believe that's also when you started producing for guys.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So how do you balance what you studied, the value of what you studied, and what guys are willing to pay you? Here in the Ugandan market.
I think the same thing even now.
Yeah.
There was like so when I studied recently, right?
Yeah.
There was like you have to adjust your expectations.
Yeah.
You have to come in with those people like, yeah, man.
Rate card, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're professional, you're thinking about time and you're like working with really talented people, but people who don't necessarily understand how to build a career, right? And there is like adjustment of expectations. You have to reach a point where it's like, man, you know what? Let me just do what makes sense to them. But because you've gone to school, you understand why you're making certain decisions, right? So that's the only difference is like you'll still do what they want, but you know why you're doing it. You get like you've read enough to know like if you want the melody to go like that, this is how the audience is going to feel. Like you can vocalize that, right? It's before you're just like, man, vibe ekute, what? Let's do it, right? But like the adjustment is like, fine, don't expect a lot, right? We are still a very, very, very young industry.
Yeah.
But then now that you're working, you know why you're doing what you're doing. You know why they're doing what they're doing. Just educate. So I think like that's kind of one of the reasons why education is really important to me, like teaching as well, is if we don't teach, there's no industry. Like there's nothing. We can't I mean, like this whole week or last week or whatever, there's been these meetings about the federation and what UMA, all that jazz. But I haven't attended. But what I am hearing and what I assumed is just people are complaining about what is not happening or what they don't know. Like it's not anyone's fault, whether the collective like CMOs or whatever, UPRS, whatever. It's not their fault that you signed a bad deal.
Right.
It was you who signed the bad deal because you were not informed. And I think education is really, like, if you're thinking about money, like, go in education now. Because 5-10 years from now, the kids who are singing now, the kids who are going to ballet class or whatever, are going to want to understand why do things work the way they do. And that's where the value is. Not so much in, like, doing stuff. It's just about, like, understanding why you're making those decisions. You guys,
this guy has adjusted everything apart from his way of life. Ballet class. Who is going to ballet class in this Kampala?
I'm going to ballet class, bro. you don't. Like,
you don't know anyone who is going to ballet class.
That's when we drop my wife in the morning.
Ah,
They teach ballet at their studio.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not her doing ballet,
Lingala.
but at their studio they teach ballet.
Not Lingala.
But you see the kids that come there, the kids
Yeah.
that go for ballet class are dropped in a Range Rover. Not
Yeah, okay.
Bidi mutaget audience.
Yeah, true.
yeah.
I think diversifying the
The tax
education.
bracket.
Yeah.
the other kids, the other regular kids are doing impede somewhere else. You can't say you can't.
You can't bring in
No.
ballet.
Omwana alonze chai wenjai.
No, we were talking. We mentioned.
Oh shit, I know that song.
Yeah, so, you had it in the No, all the different artists you've worked with. Are there some of Felix last time hit us with that. All my kids are my favorites. But is there one of those collaborations before we get to your own as Abaasa? But on other projects, is there like one of those that for me this I really enjoyed working on this with?
I like working with Baru.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've spent so much time together. We argue a lot. We're like a married couple.
Yeah.
Don't like anything of the same things.
Yeah.
But then we have like a huge respect for each other. And so I think maybe that's one of the qualities that I look for is someone who is open to you. So if someone comes in and they're like, hey man, this is what I want, this is blah, blah, they're just looking for a producer.
Yeah.
And like, I think maybe earlier I did, but like at this point I don't work with them. I only work with someone who actually wants what I offer. So they're willing to like listen to my opinions on things. And then Baru was one of those people. He was like very empathetic and he's like, you know what? You want it a certain way? Let's try it. And I listened the same way to him. So all the projects that he's worked on, like I've been a part of them because I actually genuinely love what he does. I think maybe there's a guy. I think right now I enjoy like different voices.
Yeah.
So like there's a period where I'll be like, I want like world music. I want to sound like world music. So like let me get a guy who like does world music and I like really invest in him time. And then there's a guy called Julius Sese who sings really, really well.
Yeah.
And he sings so well live as well. So like the way the songs translate, because there are guys who will sing very well in studio, but then you go to watch them at a show and you're like, man, I didn't produce this. Like, it wasn't me. But the way that he translates songs is so brilliant. So like, it just, the only quality I look for is like someone who actually respects your process and your understanding, your perspective on like any art. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the answer from audio engineer Abaasa.
Baru is the one.
What of the answer from singer Abaasa?
I've not done so many collaborations.
Yeah, but you've done some.
Yeah. So I started in hip hop, so that's why I would lean more towards a rapper. So it's either Patrobas.
Yeah. There were those Patrobas.
Yeah, maybe Myth, but I don't want to say that in public.
Gigi.
It might be used against me.
Yes, I knew it.
No, but I've not done several songs. Like I think those are the only two songs that come to mind. Like or a couple of songs. So I did a number of songs with Myth and also Patrobas and maybe Pryce as well. Pryce Teeba.
Yeah.
I've not worked with singers. I think Cohen was the only guy who like it made sense. Yeah.
That song with Cohen.
Look My Way.
Yeah.
How okay, I know you're two guys that have great voices, you can sing. Were you trying to outcompete each other? Or you're just like
Compliments.
I'll do my best, do your best, let's see where this lands us.
I think for me, because we had been working on the project for a while, so his whole it was an album or EP or chapter what I don't know.
2.
But then like the song was like, do you still like? Can you still sing? That was the question for me. And so it was like, the idea came up, let's do something. But then I really wanted to like see if I could still like do something which has like nice melody because he writes so well. Which has nice melody, like nice emotion, tone, but still be able to like technically execute and like hit high notes or go low or like collaborate with someone, like complement what they're doing. So we were definitely showing off. Clearly.
Yes.
I don't know what the story behind the song is, but every time I listen to it, I imagine that because of how competitive the vocals were,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Oh shit, we're asking, look my way. No, then he's like, no, look at me.
No, look my way. Hey, no.
Yeah, so I imagine there's this chick.
Yeah.
So whenever I picture the video, I
No, look
imagine
my
you're staying in an apartment, but
Yeah.
you're neighbors. But
Yeah.
across there's a chick.
So brilliant. You
Yeah.
should produce videos.
That's
I
how
should.
that's what he says about like everything we literally like. That's his description. It's always a visual.
No, I get that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
never
then,
pictured
so whenever I
it.
picture it that way, the vocals make so much
Yeah.
sense. And it's just.
Okay, cool. Look my way. But like, yeah.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about your individual projects.
Yeah. fair.
What now for someone like you who understands music the way they understand it? I can imagine the criticism you put in when you are creating.
Yeah.
So first, describe for us the creative process when you're creating your music.
You have to have two hats. One is the innovator and the other is the critic. So none of them exist in the same room. So when you're creating, just create. Like pretend you don't want to make money on this thing. Pretend it doesn't matter who listens to this. and I think maybe like to be more technical, I also did this with Barrow as well, but we would do like 30 minutes. Like you have to set an alarm, right? 30 minutes, work on this thing. As soon as the alarm goes, move on to something else, right? And a challenge that I see with like other creators is this idea has to work. And then you spend like an hour, you spend 2 hours, the critic comes in, you're just like, no, this is lousy. You spend a year, right? You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But if you give it a time limit where it's like, this is 30 minutes of innovation, move on to something else. Next 30 minutes. And you do that. So all the projects, maybe apart from Rukunjiri, but all the other projects were like created like that, where it's like, give yourself a block of time to create and then move on. Then come back to it like a week later, you're like, oh, this actually works. I love this. Or this actually makes sense. Or let me, put some more lyrics on this or put some more melody on this or whatever. So I think you really have to like split when you're being very critical and when you're being innovative. Yeah.
I think that's a gem that a lot of us can take on.
Especially you.
Because I'm an innovator.
Innovated the innovation.
Not because you're an innovator. We've that bit is different, but the way you spend hours on something, if it's not working, leave it.
Yeah. you have to time it. Even like brainstorm sessions.
Yeah.
This is the thing, design thinking. I don't know if you understand it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, how do you create solutions? So as soon as you're done, like understanding the customer and what they need, now when you're creating ideas, you have to have a time limit. You have to say 5 minutes, guys, bring any ideas. Nothing is restricted. So you write it all on sticky notes, put it up. Move on. Like you have the process has to be really quick, because the moment you sit and think, like, will a song with this and this really work? The idea is dead. You've not even given it time to actually like blossom into something that could work for you later on. Yeah.
I think
So,
you've
sir, we need sticky notes.
Yeah. And an alarm clock.
What you pick from that? Sticky notes, alarm log. Okay,
Sticky notes.
noted.
Stick notes just right on the back of your book. But I think you've also answered a question that a lot of artists are kind of struggling with right now. Not struggling, but what's going on in the industry globally, where guys are trying to make that song that is for TikTok and things like that.
Yeah.
But then also you touched on something where you said, if you're creating, forget about making the money.
Yeah.
And which is something that I've seen with your creations, with your music, from the music to the visuals, all those things. You could see that there's a huge level of investment that has gone in. I want to believe also I've done my part where I invest, but I don't see the money coming back. But how do you reconcile with that?
Yeah. So when you bring the critic in, so like don't go all innovation. Like that doesn't make money, doesn't pay rent. When you bring the critic in, you have to like. This is why like learning things helps.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand how to make money and how other people are making money. Make parallels with other people and see like, okay, so this sound doesn't work in Uganda, but then how are other people using it, right? Or what works in Uganda? Where's the middle ground? So usually, like for me, because I really love music, I find the middle ground is in the video, so or in the presentation.
Yeah.
So I'll have song which doesn't apply in the market, but then in the video put a babe, put cars, you know what I mean? Like, figure out a way of making it work. Or if you're going to keep the video like indie and creative, now in your presentation when you're putting up a show, don't just announce on the day of the show like you're Beyonce. You get it? Like actually do some promo. Like there has to be a middle ground where you're really critical about whatever art you have made, but then now you're thinking about like, how do I actually make money from this? So announce the show, make tickets, don't put a free show, pay people, so that they can, like there are ways that you can actually be critical, but without affecting the art that you have created.
You've mentioned something there, and it's quite interesting to me because we talk about it with producer Hassan from the family. We talk about it a lot in the other job that's not by CEO Felix. And
I just want to put a disclaimer. In case someone from URA is watching, I'm not a CEO of anything.
no, on the real, like we talk about it a lot where there's certain things we think are obvious, because you're thinking from in your head that's something that should come, like it should be one of those quick ideas or thoughts, and you've mentioned stuff like don't announce and drop on that day like you're Beyonce. And it's funny because I've used that exact statement, because you find a project, you're like, man, if this guy built this up, whether it's a project, whether it's a show or something, you're like, if this person built it up, maybe would have loved to go. Maybe would have told everyone. Maybe would have even brought Ian out of his house where he's always hiding. I mean, we've seen funny thing. We've bumped into Abaasa a lot at some of these things, and he has probably never seen us with Ian. But
I've met him before. We first met at a listening party for
you came
Barrow.
for the.
Back
He
in the
attends
day at the
Barrow
studio.
stuff. He attends Barrow
And
stuff.
then also-
He attends Barrow stuff. He attends Barrow stuff. He
Barrow
attends
is my
Barrow
guy.
stuff. So that's the exception. Hey, Barrow man. Hey, man. But like still, if someone tells people in advance, we can build it up, see who we're reaching out to, see how to even help out. Because sometimes we'll hear about an event, see we like how the person is putting in the work. We'll join in on the push because they're doing a good job. Why not support it? And so I just wonder how sometimes people, I don't know if I should say choose to skip that step, but in my head it just feels like it's very
should I say
important.
something? So
It's
you
important enough.
in marketing, or I guess even in general marketing, not just music, you're actually selling anticipation.
Yes.
You don't sell, like, no one buys music. It's free. It's there. But you sell the anticipation.
Yeah.
And like Kanye West did it where he was like singing in a hockey stadium or whatever.
Yeah.
We hadn't listened to the album.
Yeah.
But we're just like, yo, we want to listen to this, right? And I would say, and this is just my own opinion, but a similar parallel with Joshua Baraka, where what's being sold now is the anticipation of what he could be.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what he's done before. Like, we're looking at what he's done before, like us as the fans, and it's just like, yo, man, this guy's going to be crazy. And that's what you can sell. Because you'll go to a show and you'll charge whatever you want. You'll put out a tweet and everyone's just like, like jumping on it because they feel like you're going. So unless you're like, what, Adele, Frank Ocean, Drake, Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, you can't announce on the day.
Very important. It is
and
important.
And for me, I always come here and I try to advocate for my friends. So Felix,
Talk to me. Talk to me. Also, I didn't know that we are friends. But go on. But go on.
I'm sorry, sir. Advocate for my boss.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy me data just because I didn't know we are friends. But go on.
So you see, when you're trying to get a cop singe, you're selling the anticipation.
What's a cop singe? I'm hearing there's a lot today. What's happening?
Mark, define cop singe. Please.
Mark.
And for let me say, for diversity, you also define a Joseph.
What's a joke?
I feel like if I say something wrong,
Cancel. So we shall tell you off camera.
Okay,
camera.
Fine.
But guys, if you've been listening or watching, for those who have data, you've heard this gentleman speak a lot of things and a lot of English. But this guy, what we didn't say in the introduction, this guy is the head of record label at Swangz Avenue.
Yep.
So he's not here by mistake. He's here to answer some serious questions that we want answers to.
Yeah.
Because Swangz Bachikuba. So he's going to tell us how they are doing it, and also if you are an artist there, probably you have questions. Hopefully that he can answer in this session. But first, tell us when you started this job, because
I know it started fairly recently. I think maybe last year I went for a conference. I bumped into the guy, the CEO, and he's just like, "Yo, man, like let's talk." Yeah. So beginning of the year, I was like,
and here we are.
Yeah. What's the deal? Yeah.
As head of record label, what's your JD, your job description?
So I handle all the releases, from marketing, admin, legal, finance, to make sure that we are telling nice stories, because we're a content company technically.
Yes.
And so there's a middle ground there where you have to make money.
Yeah.
But then ultimately people buy into the stories and what you say. So it's just about understanding what artists make sense for what audience, and then how do you get those artists to actually like be more on brand.
Yeah.
And you're not really selling songs, but you sell tickets, you sell t-shirts, you sell a TV show, whatever. Yeah.
So that money, how is the first quarter looking like? no, I'm joking. No, yeah, because we just wrapped up the first quarter, but it's okay.
Yeah. So from of course, Swangz Avenue is they're at the top.
Yeah.
They're the apex. It's who we are all trying to beat. Who our struggling CEO here is trying to beat. My friend, our CEO. Yeah. But so I know Swangz Avenue, what you do, everything that you do as Swangz comes out to be systematic and planned and intentional. But a lot of us don't see what happens in the background, especially with the artists. And I know most of these artists, whenever they are thinking about positioning themselves for an opportunity to get noticed by Swangz, most of them think about it in terms of, I'll try to replicate this sound. It's what's hitting now, and then maybe someone at Swangz,
that someone notices, pays
attention. But I feel like there are other aspects that they might be ignoring that could actually propel their careers to that level.
Yeah.
So from your experience and expert opinion, what areas do you think they need to whip up a beat and shape?
I think what I like to add on what you've said, what I find is that a lot of people want to replicate the results.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's pretty easy to do, right?
Yeah.
But then you can't just get to results. You need to understand, how did people actually get to this point?
Yeah.
And I think maybe stories, because like we're artists in general, right? And we are all trying to like just tell that other person who's sitting there in their hostel that like, you're like me, right? And so if you get someone who actually understands the stories that they're telling, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then understands how to tell those stories, and then understands how to communicate to an audience, right? To the person who actually relates to that story. That's the only way that you'll actually replicate the work that goes into getting the results. And so you'll find a lot, because I get a bunch of demos, and it's like, hey, check this out. This would fit you, whatever. But like, what fits Swangz is a storyteller.
Yeah.
Like someone who, like, guys are there in the audience, and they're like, you're telling my story. You get it? And that's money. Yeah. Like any advertising agency, any person who's actually selling something, it's an emotional buying. You don't necessarily buy like a Nike shoe because it's whatever. Like there's a comfort in the soul, or it's just like, bruh, there's a story, and there's something that brings you in. And so I think even with like artistic products, it's the story. It's how do you relate to the audience? How do you understand who you're speaking to?
So if you were dealing with a new artist, is character more important than talent?
I think 200%, yeah. Like I want you to show up in the morning. So I work in a studio, or I worked in a studio. If you don't show up on time, you don't return calls, you're not a nice person. It's like, however much you're the best singer, most beautiful, whatever, you will not get really far. And so like just an understanding of how to be a human is way more important than how you actually sing.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me put it this way. The higher you go in like any career, technical skills don't matter.
Right.
So like when you go to a hospital, you're not necessarily thinking, this guy put 12 cc's of epinephrine instead of 10 like you don't care about that. You care about, did I wait too long in the reception?
Yes,
How nice was this doctor? Did they ask me how my day was? Were they friendly? So soft skills play a more important role than technical skills. So high you go, like when you're still whatever, I want you to of course know how to sing. I want you to know how to hold a mic, how to like, you know, to hold a note, stuff like that. But beyond that, beyond like counting 1, 2, 3 and being able to write, it's about how you relate to humans, and that's way more important than like how talented you are.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And that's actually good, because we actually tend to talk about this when we're saying like, let's look at UG right now, the younger artists coming up. There's a lot of great voices, a lot of good rappers, there's a lot of good music being made, to be honest. But how much of it can stick? Like, you know how like these two tend to say on the pod how music is becoming more disposable.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, yeah, I guess because there's always something else, and with the streaming platforms and this, we can always play the next one and the next one, go and start scrolling through some platforms, and there's always something, and you can go with that. And I feel like we have like, as artists, sometimes making it stay, that effort that goes into making it stay is often forgotten.
There's no shortcut.
It's like, and for me, it's like, no, guy, like, that's really good, and I just want more of it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You mentioned Cohen earlier, and I tell people, Cohen released When I Won in I think 2019, and that was, you know, I'm Not Letting Go, which was still playing last night when I was out. But like, you know, like he did that, and then of course COVID 2020. 2021.
You know what's funny? Can I just drop in a thing? So this is just my own theory. Again, like I would like to bring out my conspiracies. So there is a chord progression. I'm going to play it for you. That's
I'm not
letting go. You're my queen. I never ever. Another conspiracy. Fucking what's Caesar? What? No. Fucking. This is my conspiracy. If you want a hit song, that's the progression. That's the rhythm. Like, try it.
It's so funny. We were watching something this week where Ed Sheeran was talking about beating his case and saying how he literally got a guitar and played a certain chord progression and told the guys, listen, so this is my song.
Yeah.
And this is Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
And this is, and like, it's like that, you know, yes, you can copyright a song and whatever, but you can't copyright a chord sequence. So you know, if it's on a lot of hit songs, I mean, you know, so what you're saying is really off.
I mean, it's just a conspiracy. I don't want to say it's true, but like all the producers, young artists out there, try that out. Like those 3 songs. Yeah.
My United people, what are you happy boys? Chord progression. To be very good. Tukube hiti. Tukube ngoma. Chikwe. But Abaasa, I was
just saying for Cohen, one of the things is after that he comes in, like you get into 2021 and he has that When or Two where, you know, like you said, you had Look My Way Together on that, and I think I saw you credited in Eva, which is quite the song. And funny thing is, I mentioned it in my review of the project. I remember listening and I'm like, oh, I can hear Abaasa in that.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to check the credits on that song. Then I'm like, there he is.
Yeah.
But and then, you know, that's 2021, 2022, he gave us Heartstrings.
Yeah.
It's short, you know, it's short projects, but he stays, you know, present, and like, because 2021 of When or Two did most of its work last year in 2022. So that means like those, you know, 5-6 songs, just, you know, you have to put in the work, keep them going. And there's several artists like that, you know, like, and that for me is something special. And another thing that you said that I just want to is that professionalism, you know, it's a job.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
this it's not a vibe.
Yeah. Like if you treat it like that, I feel like you're going to tick those boxes that you mentioned. You're going to show up on time. You're going to do all those little small things before even becoming a nice person and becoming just those other small things that are before that. You know, you may not be a nice person, but this one's like, but maybe the person will be like, it's still easy to work on him because he ticks those boxes.
He shows up,
and for me, I feel like those little extra things are so important to note. So guys, take them from the man. You have 4 projects out?
No, I have 3 projects. Actually, 4. 4. But that's a Baru project, so
it's Baru, Abaasa,
so I have 3 projects, You
have Reconjuring 1947,
and
Mountains of the Moon, MOTM, and then the Money 6.
Money 6 Power. But I've done several projects with Baru. I mean,
and also he's an award-winning artist / creator.
Them videos
back in the day. I really value like video. I think that was the one place which I felt like I could be able to create or stand out. And so like any video project I really go in, like even the videos that I've like produced for other people, I make sure that like it looks a certain way, it has a stamp, it makes someone feel a certain way. I think visual storytelling is kind of the place that I want to go in now.
I like that a lot because, maybe far back, Wantengula did what it did, won them awards, He didn't say award winning by mistake. He won that. And I want to go to, more recently, Semvula. That's what, Valentine's Day last year, the release. First of all, everyone knows, I say it all the time, I tweet it all the time, I send playlists to people with it. Semvula is my jam. So first of all, the project came out in December 2021, and it was great. And Semvula was for me such a standout, and I really loved it. So I'm listening for the 3 months that fall, and then you get into Feb and the video. And for me, it's the artist. You're like, Felix said it on the podcast, I think it was last season, where he said, and the video came out and it's literally art. And I know you probably don't
Very
remember
funny,
saying that, but it really was.
I see a lot of gems.
By mistake. But it matches both what it was and what you were doing. And
but
for
also,
me, that's
let me interrupt.
So
For a guy that says sometimes you forget about the money and just make a video, you ruined the suit, man.
I was like, I remember asking myself, how many takes did they have?
It was one take because we had one suit.
Mine was there like, bring the other suit.
There's a movie. It's called La Grande Bellezza. It's a very, very, very powerful movie. You should watch it. One of those like indie films. And so this old guy, he gets to like maybe 50 or 60, and he's just like, man, I don't know what life's about. So he starts going around and he asks the reverend, he asks whoever, and he has friends whose child is a painter. Like this kid is like prodigy, right? And so they're just like, don't play with the kids, you have to prepare for your performance tonight, that type of thing. And so this kid goes, picks up the paint and just starts throwing everywhere. Like crazy, she's crying, it's like very painful to watch. It's so awkward. The characters even move away. They're just like, you know what, like I think this is too much, we can't watch. And when you come back at the end, it's such a brilliant piece that the babe had painted. And these parents are there like so proud, like they've made so much money of whatever it is that the pain that the child is going through. But anyway, so that's visually where the idea came from. So I like when I see something like in a film or whatever, I pick the idea. So I never go like, this is what the song is about, let's make a video. It's like, what would be visually stunning? And then try and figure out a story in there. And so you have to now work with really good directors or good DOPs to help you like understand how to get your visual idea and tie it into like what the song actually means. So that's where that idea came from. La Grande Bellezza, The Beautiful Life.
There's no way that movie is out there and it's translated.
It's not, it's subtitles.
Today I'm speaking on behalf of my Natete people.
It's subtitles.
But as a record label head, in our industry we have a lot of people who self-proclaim that they have record labels. But I wanted you to highlight that what a record label should have. Like if you're out there or someone is watching and wants to set up his own thing or her own thing, what should a record label have? Even if you have small resources, what are those things that should be
start with resources?
But also don't touch on resources.
Because technically it's like a bank, but for music, right? So that's like the bottom line of everything we're talking about. But you don't necessarily have to have that amount of money. You can just have human resource. So all the projects that I've worked on like independently after releasing stuff was like, who do I know who does graphics and what can I exchange? Who do I know who does video? What can I exchange? Who do I know who does, a social media calendar or something like that? And so at the bottom is resource. You have to have some type of resource, whether financial or human resource. You'll use financial to get human resource either way. And then you just have to understand, okay, I touched on innovation, right? As a product. And then intervention. So that's another thing. Intervention is the middle ground between when you innovate a product and when it gets green lit by the audience, right? And they pay your tickets to your show, whatever. So fine, get down the innovation. So that's usually what takes a bunch of the money, is how do you create, how do you find a talent that's great, how do you get nice videos, how do you get nice songs. And then intervention is, how do I market this thing? How do I make it accessible to a guy in Atete? Or how do I get it accessible to Bandali? You know what I mean? So I think as a record label, think about, you have resource, but what you're using resource is for those two things. How do I create good products? How do I get them to the right audience?
The go-to-market strategy.
Yeah.
You're in class.
Innovation, intervention. Those are the two things.
The good people that are listening, they said resources. So if you want to help us with some resources,
The Momo number. Am I allowed to put my Momo number? I'm saying.
send some money to 62.
You can tell them
to
to put on that number you said, and then we forward to you.
and also for Abaasa, 624404. That's 624404.
You know what's funny? It's like I was just thinking about it this morning. Like, so artists are like mini media companies.
Yes.
Right?
My guy, you're speaking my language. You are speaking my language.
And so even with those two concepts, innovation and intervention, the product has to be really, really good. So we'll use the biggest example right now, because it's actually, for her right now, you can't even notice where she's being a media company now. It's Kim Kardashian, right? The beginning, it's like good quality photos. Me doing this, me doing that, storytelling, relate to me, I'm doing this, blah, 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 blah. So she's really innovating in terms of what she's creating.
Yeah.
And then intervention is, I have makeup, I have sleepwear, I have a TV show, I have whatever she does now. And I think understanding that you are a media company and someone won't buy ads on ESPN if they're selling nappies.
Right.
Right?
I feel like you're a student of Student Stout.
Yeah, exactly.
My guy, we're in the same class. Not in America, but here we're in the same class.
Studying remotely.
Online class. and so the brand has to be really, really strong, right? You have to understand that this person, they sing about their songs are clean. Maybe they have kids, or they don't have kids, but they're like, really friendly and whatever. Whereas there are other artists who are kind of like, I'm a bad boy or I'm a bad girl, like the kind of brands that can be attached to that are totally different, right? And right now, I mean, and even we talked about it from the start, there's not much money in music. Like, music is free. Yeah. But Kanye West sells shoes, or used to. Rihanna sells makeup. You know what I mean? And so like, you use the reach that you have or the influence that you have to actually sell something that maybe has a higher margin or something. Yeah.
Like locally, I've always said that artists are like a mini agency.
Yeah.
If you look at the artist and the team, they're like a mini agency, because you have the creativity part, you have the marketing part, you have the finance part, all that stuff. At the end of the day, if you combine them together, you have like a small boutique agency. Yeah. And I always tell my guys that try your best to sort of like be compliant with the government of Uganda. Because at any one point, if you want to do a switch, like from music, you already have an agency.
You have
to
the
start
tools.
with.
You
already have an agency to start with.
You have the human resource.
Exactly.
You have the system.
You just take that and then render those services to like a corporate client who can give you money.
Yeah. There's much higher margins on other products.
Yeah.
And ads actually, mostly.
Something you just said about the marketing and the go-to-market strategy for these artists, and something I don't quite understand. Of course, as a layman, I would not have the visibility of the small moving pieces. But from outside, when an artist is dropping, the go-to-market strategy seems quite obvious. Because it's, like you're saying, nice photos, like a song is good, some social media presence. But you can actually do all that and flop.
Yeah.
And no one pays attention.
Yeah.
So how do you read the market? Like it seems obvious, but it's not.
I think
how do you plan a Swangz release?
there is no secret formula, to be honest. And I think one of the key element is really solidifying the brand. Like, don't be one day talking about sports and the next day you're doing comedy. Like, you need to solidify the brand. So there's 3 types of content. There's comfort content, like Friends, or whatever, or The Office. You know, the vibes. You watched it several times, but you just go back.
Yeah.
And then there's like professional fans, which are people who like this podcast, or people who review stuff. People will just go sit in first class and be like, oh yeah, you know, this is how it looks like, and people just watch, right? And then the third thing is like doing something really, really crazy, right? Like Mr. Beast, or
Mr. Beast.
I don't know, like Adele or Beyonce, right? Like just someone just like saying, you know what, I'm giving out this stuff for free, or you know, something crazy that really, like 50-song album, Chris Brown. You really have to understand what your brand is. Like, what do people want from you? And I had a discussion yesterday with a friend of mine where we're talking about talented musicians, talented artists, but who don't know what people need from them. And so they end up looking like they're all over the place. They try this. They're like, okay, you know what? Next album dropping. Okay, you know what? I have a concert. Okay, you know what? I'm at Expressions. Okay, you know what? Like, they're just like trying everything.
Yeah.
And I think you need to take a step back. You need to just calm down and be like, okay, let me take a hit for now. But actually understand what my brand is supposed. What do people need from me? What problem am I solving? We talked about design thinking earlier.
Yeah.
There's no product, however innovative it is, if it's not solving a problem, you're wasting time.
Yeah. But it's also possible to the perception of what you think the audience wants from you could be wrong. Because now I'll give an example. I'll take it to the US. I'll give an example of Chloe Bailey. She's sort of trying to channel herself into a sex symbol, but everyone's like, nah, that's not you.
We didn't want that.
We didn't want that from you. So
But in me as me, I want.
You really have to read the room. Like what I talked about earlier, egos are crazy.
Right.
Like artists come through and they're like, yo, I'm the shit. And if you have that, if you have a bunch of yes men around you,
There's a certain tweeting rapper from somewhere who thinks he's a shit, but he's not.
I mean, I would like to say I'm not involved in that, whatever that is.
Is that the one who went away with a goat?
Oh my God, they have started.
Anyway,
So what I was saying,
This is why I sit away from those.
what I was saying is like you need to like be humble. You need to like actually research. You need to do like just understand what people actually want. I'm sure if she did a focus group, she would know.
Yeah.
So like just find out, learn. You can't run a business without data. So you have to understand what the market actually wants.
Yeah.
Whether it's quantitative, qualitative, just gather as much data as you can to help you make an informed decision. Otherwise, you're shooting in the dark. You're like, maybe they want this, or maybe they want this. I mean, I've seen a bunch of people like, okay, now I'm gospel. You know, and then like, okay, now you know what I mean.
back.
Like, it's like, and there's no challenge, there's no problem with like switching, or finding out that something doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
But like, you make an informed decision. Don't just be on vibe.
But do you feel like not feel, you're an expert, you'll probably know.
Feelings are saying.
Is it, I feel like music and marketing yourself as an artist is if you take if you take what should be the professionalism out of it, is sort of a manipulation game. For example, if I was an artist and I rap and stuff and they beat me in a bar, tomorrow I'd be like, I'm gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they beat me in a bar because they phoned me with someone's chick. I've changed my life. I've given my life to God. I mint that money. Then it's no longer convenient. I'm back. Yeah. So
I would actually buy into that because that's a brilliant business model. Because that's someone who's understanding what the market needs from them. And like pivoting, right? Like any other business, you see, okay, they're beating me in the bar. How do I milk this?
Yeah.
You get it? Like that's the data that I've gathered is that people are now feeling sorry for me. So let me go to God. I pray, I sing, I whatever. Then you know what? I was also caught in a bar again. Now with another babe. Boom. Like you need to be switched on. You can't just be in your studio, in your cave, and you're just like, yeah, man, I'm the shit, I'm high, what? And you're just like, you have to actually understand. Because let me tell you where this argument came from. DJ Aluda. He posted like there's nothing exportable in Uganda, and all these indie musicians just like blew up, right? And so me and Barrow, we have that conversation several times, like, and he tweets that he's just like, these guys, he didn't even mention anyone, just like these guys go studio, get high, and think you know, with their 12 likes or whatever followers, that like I'm the shit, you know what I mean? So I won't pick up, I won't show up, I won't be on time, but I'm the shit. And so I think he got into an argument with an artist. I don't want to like get into that drama, but like they got into an argument. This guy brought in Barrow's mom. Then he's like, you know what, say that shit to my face. And then they meet at like a studio like that weekend, randomly. And he's like, what were you saying? And this guy's like, no man, let's have a beat battle. Let's whatever. And it was just crazy, man. But yeah, nothing against getting high and creating. But don't just be like removed. Don't be in your head so much. Yeah. Like actually understand what the market needs. It needs, most artists, what they do is they hire someone to do that. That's where the labels come in. Is they'll give you a bunch of money to be the one who does that for you. Think about what makes sense for your art in the audience, as opposed to you like now trying to think about that.
And we tell people, and we've said this over time, and you mentioned it even earlier in terms of human resource versus financial, but as an artist, you might not be a graphics guy, but you're some young guy who has that friend who probably studied that, who's probably good at it. Find out, you mentioned that exchange, find out how you can come to an understanding and how this person can bring that to your work. And then you'll have the other friend who maybe is more, who has a better understanding of social media usage or something like that. Find out to bring that into the equation.
You have a DJ friend or whatever.
And then you have a so for me, that understanding of that whole dynamic is just, I feel like it's so possible because, like, even from our outside, whatever, if someone has reached out and asked for help or whatever, I feel like these are things you can make just a couple of calls and line up and make it happen.
6 degrees separation.
I don't understand maybe sometimes how it's not possible for people to make it happen. But I've also seen, like you said, sometimes because people think, okay, I'm this good anyway. So whether or not I do these other things, whether my song is good, so whether or not I have some artwork up, whether or not I upload it in time, and I see a project and maybe I find it or see it somewhere in April, and like you've remembered to tweet about it in April, and I'm looking at the project on the streaming platform.
You know what's fucked?
Jan.
You know what's fucked? It's like the artist actually gets frustrated, and then they'll go on this crazy like very self-destructive rant, but then now they don't create anymore. You get, because they're like, I put out the best work, because I was like that. So I released a project, and like I think we took like the song to radio, whatever, and like guys were not biting. So I was just like, at me internally, I'm like, what am I doing? Like I've created like the best work that these guys will change the industry or whatever. And they don't. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'm depressed. Fuck it. Fuck everyone. I don't like life. I don't like music. Whatever. And so they'll go on this self-destructive run where they're not even creating anything. And I think maybe I met Jesse Muyonjo, and like I used to like produce for him or whatever, because I was still doing production. And then he was like, yo man, that's what we want from you. Like, we want this thing. You get like, you have to actually show up. You can't just sit there waiting, like, because my work is so good. Like, just keep doing it. Keep putting yourself out there. And so I think to like respond to that, you end up not creating even. Like, as an artist, you're just like, man, I don't want to create anymore. Or now you start to change, because all the music that I made after that was lousy. Like, I tried so many ideas. I had like, there was 4, like the 4th one is the one that eventually became Mountains of the Moon, but there were 3 other projects that were like, it's Mountains of the Moon 1, Mountains of the Moon 2, Mountains of the Moon 3 is like 7, 8, 9, 10 song, whatever projects. But all of them were just like, I'm trying to be commercial, I'm trying to sound like if Sheba was Abaasa. I'm just like, it just wasn't working. So it sounded so horrible. And until I had that conversation with him where he's like, that's not what we want from you. And so it allowed me to like align with why I'm there. Yeah.
You went from full moon, half moon, quarter moon, till there was no moon left. All right, let's do mountains of the moon. But I'm getting a signal from our producer that our time is running out. But we are going to keep pushing
so
until.
Shout out to my mom.
No. We are going to keep pushing
my
until
brother, my sister.
until the questions we had for you. And today, if you guys watch,
let's
if
get
they
into
don't
the
watch,
questions.
they
Boom,
watch.
boom. Yeah.
As someone who has been on our side, our side, I mean the urban music side, that's the hip hop, the R&B, and now you are on the other side, and on the other side you are on the biggest stage.
Oh, yeah.
What have you seen that side that we could probably implement this side to make us go into the next level?
I think the important thing is audience, which is something that we never focus on.
Yeah.
We never focus on how to actually relate to people. Because we think we make really good music, so we're just like, yeah, man, you know what? It's fine. I don't mind what people need. I'll like put my stuff out. So understanding your audience, because that's where you'll make money from, and you making money, it gives you the freedom to innovate because you already have your car, you already have whatever, so you can actually create good work. So focusing on the audience, how do I reach more of the audience? How do I create, like you've just told me about this hangout tomorrow or whatever, and like small touch points where I can be able to interact with them, give them what they want from me, and then ultimately when I put up a post, they're all going to buy in, and then they'll be advocates and whatever. So that's one of the things that we lack as an industry in general. And I'm not just saying from the commercial side, it's done very well. Commercial side, it's done. It could be better, right? Because you see how like Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift and how they really have audience, which like, you know, like they super believe in them, and there are those touch points which they put, which we don't. So I think that's one of the things that I feel like is lacking. We have good songs, we just don't care about the audience. Yeah, we're not doing any research at all.
Perfect. Then the other question is a general question. From your end, do you think or do you believe that across the Ugandan spaces and Ugandan platforms, do you think we talk more about the music industry without discussing the music business?
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Because I feel like that's missing. Like guys who sit on platforms, on TVs, and they talk about in Nigeria,
yeah.
And I feel like the music business.
The moment someone says in Nigeria,
and I feel like the music business, like we love discussing the music, but we don't discuss the music.
Yeah, true.
And I feel like that's missing.
It's super lacking. That's what these discussions this week are about with the federation or the UMA or whatever. It's a bunch of people who were very good but didn't understand the business. You get, and yesterday I was hearing from an artist and she's like, yeah, so like there was this guy and he was selling our copyrights to guys in Kenya. And so I asked her like, so who gave him the copyright? No one. So then why is that a problem? That means he's screwing the guys in Kenya.
Yeah.
Because he's selling, it's like I get a thing which I don't have, which I don't even own.
Which I
can't even hold. And I just be like, I've sold this to you. Then the guys in Kenya buy. So they're buying air, right?
Yeah,
because the copyright is still owned by this other person.
Yeah.
So I think just having, and it goes right back down to education, understanding what you're doing. You can't invest in a business which you don't know. So like you're a good singer, you're whatever, and these are like really big 10, 15 year career like artists, right?
Yeah.
Understand the business. Understand how to create a career out of music, because all these resources are out. You can type DistroKid versus CD Baby and you'll see so many links.
Yeah.
You just learn.
I was talking to a young artist towards the end of last year. He's a singer, vocalist, and I just made a playlist. And my playlist, that particular playlist, starts with Cohen, Kenneth, you, Herbert Sensamba, and it's, and it goes down there, Steve Keys, and the playlist is there, and he looks at the list and like, I think he knows. Oh, there was Morris. He knew.
Yeah.
I've listened to Morris a lot, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's nice. But this is what you want to do. So learning is no one is saying go to the SAE Institute of the other one, Bakuli. But like in this industry, in this space, surely you have your phone, your whatever. Surely listen to the guys in your space that have been there from before. Abaasa's career musically is long. Like you've been at it as a male vocalist. Let's look at Kenneth.
So I
Let's
released
look
my
at-
first project in 2011.
Yeah, I was looking at the stuff and I was
Christmas
like,
on a
what
Tuesday
is
afternoon.
this? 2011.
Yeah.
And I'm
It was
like,
crazy. I just saw I just made I don't know, about 50 CDs, about 20. And I went to Worship Harvest. At the time it was only in Kati. And I was just there singing a song. But it was, anyway, sorry. I'm just on a trip right now.
reminiscing.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. There's a journey that has been taken. You talked about mimicking or trying to recreate the result without the process. And for me, it's that. Look at this. Listen to Rukunji, 1947, then see Semvula. And for me, it's so funny because yesterday I listened again to 1947 and Mountains of the Moon, and there are things that are very similar, and whereby I felt like, it feels like somehow I don't know, there are certain things I felt that maybe you had I was building to that.
Figured it out. Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, that's for me. It was a great listen. I'd listened to them separately, but now doing that back to back, I told myself, there it is. He has rounded off the other thing that I had. I
think there's still more clicks because I think what you're touching on is, or what I was trying to do is traditional music, right? Because we've talked about Uganda has no sound, fuck guys, what are we doing? We have so much, and if we don't now, the thing that the West Africans have done is they've figured out how to get the sound and put it in songs you hear in the bar and songs you hear on radio. Which is something for us, we are still splitting. We are guys of MDD, do MDD. For us, we'll do kidindaali, right?
Guys of Bakisimba.
Exactly, yeah. We don't want to mix the two. And so, you need so many people. You need volume.
Yeah.
You need someone who's doing it in EDM. You need someone who's doing it in rap. You need someone who's doing it in R&B. You need someone who's doing it in trap or whatever, all the genres. For it to be a normal thing, I hear a tube fiddle, or I hear a thumb piano, or whatever, a dungu, or a xylophone, and shit, that's Uganda,
right?
Yeah. And I think just to finish up what it is you are touching on is we really need to tap into our sound. If we don't, we are just wasting time. We are just going to be having this same our federation is going to come up in 3-4 years because UMA came when 2018, 17, right? Something like that. Yeah. And you're going to have another federation talking about similar problems with no solutions. So I think just guys have to get down and just work. Don't waste time. Collaborate, network, get people who know what they do, exchange services. If you have money, exchange money.
This thing you mentioned about the artists not having the right information to help them make informed decisions. Do you feel maybe that is where record labels and management agencies come in? Because I feel unfortunately, I'm just realizing it now, I could be wrong, but the reason why our artists may be struggling, you may have the skill, but you don't necessarily have the brain to study all these small pieces. And then that presents a whole new challenge to the market where the record labels and all these agencies and the other people trying to manage the industry have to now make an investment into this information so that when the artists come to you or when you go to them, you're presenting all these other pieces of the puzzle. Focus on the talent, we'll manage this other bit of it.
I think that's one of the differences that Swangz has, is that everybody is brilliant. All the human resource there is brilliant. They're all people who are so talented, so switched on. And I went to a label maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there was a Jameson thing or whatever, but I went to the label and this guy didn't know what he was talking about. Didn't know. So now the assumption is, I can mix an artist, hey? You get jazz, copyright, you own everything. Distribution, blah, 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 blah. I just sat because I go to the meeting and I'm just I'm a music producer. So I'm just not, I don't want to whatever, jazz a lot. So hey, this is your producer, okay. Now the copyright, we're going to give you the copyright. This is not exclusive. Hey, it's you can work with anybody else you want. So I'm okay. So can we work with Universal as well? But no, you can be exclusive on some things. And man, so you end up bumping into a bunch of people who are also gatekeepers but don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not even an artist problem. This is like a general problem.
General
Everybody
industry
needs
problem.
to understand. Like I go to Amazon and I type in music business book. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of books will show up. Maybe I can afford them. Maybe I look for a free PDF. Don't pirate stuff. But like,
Shout outs to Larry.
if you can find it, right?
Yeah.
Read. There's so much resource. There's resource on the 60s, 50s, whatever, the stuff that
Yeah.
actually made our whole music industry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
After jazz and all that. And then there's stuff from recent like pop and, how do you make a hit song? What makes a hit song? There's so much information.
And in terms of information, I know something people have to take advantage of. I know when people think of ChatGPT, everyone thinks of the basic shit.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Like in my regular 9 to 5, I'm in IT. It's amazing how much I have learned through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not entirely accurate.
Yeah.
But even
But
those
it gives you a starting point.
Yeah, it gives you a starting point. You have a general idea. If you're an artist, how does copyright work? What is it about? When you walk into that meeting, if you drop some sense, they'll
Yeah.
this is not your usual guy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So.
Ian's boss. It's not Ian working. It's ChatGPT. But Abaasa, we are going to play a little game because we've
let's do
shared a
this.
lot of gems.
Oh.
So here's how this game works. I'm going to read for you a lyric from a Ugandan song.
Okay.
All you have to do is guess the artist and the
ready.
name of the song.
I'm ready. Get it. Boom.
If you get it right, I put money on our Momo pay number.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay,
It
thank
is
you.
first repeat that number just in case people forgot.
Guys, 624404. That's 624404. How are you
Yes.
doing your voice?
If you get it right, I put money on
Okay,
there.
so I'm not very good at lyrics, but I'm good at melody. But
if
I'll
you-
get you.
Don't,
Yeah.
don't expect anything
Don't expect melody from myself.
Give me the lyric. I'll think about
it
it.
may break our equipment.
His mic is
If you can't get it, you can pick any of these two guys to help you
Okay.
And if they
guess
fail-
it. And if they fail, they have to put money on that.
Okay, let's
on
go.
the
Let's go.
number.
Let's go. I'm ready.
So, the first line. Obulamu bwo bwa nyaanya olugikoonako ng'eyatika bulinga kagiraasi olukasuula nga katika.
Okay. Life is like a tomato. If you touch. DJ, is it DJ fucking the guy from Masaka, what's his name?
Vinyanyanya. I thought vinyanyanya.
Yeah, I'm stumped.
Hey, you can pick any of these.
I don't know. Alien skin.
Wow.
What's
Alien
his
skin.
name?
Nah, brother. Man.
you
Hey.
picked him. Let's go.
So Ian has put money.
Yeah.
It's Ragadi Indigida. Ragadi
Does
Indigida.
Digida
Part
go?
of-
Obulamu bwo bulinga obw'ennyaanya ogikwatako ng'eyatika ndigida 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 sambagala.
Okay.
Never think of that.
No.
This one is easy.
That's
for the entire class.
the last
For the
one
entire
was
class.
easy, so-
This one is easy. Ennaku zino tubeera mu ocean. Mu ocean security tight.
Okay, it sounds like a rapper, huh?
Mu ocean mulimu kapeti. Eno kapeti teyitamu bullet.
Okay.
If you fail, I want you to pick ears. If you fail, I want you to pick ears.
Okay, so we talked about bullets, so I'm thinking, this is a rapper. What's this new genre, the Fake Fameka genre? I don't know, we shouldn't get a name for it. But someone name that genre, like the one which he started with and which everyone's doing now. That genre. Anyway, so bullets, rapper,
Kapeti, mu
Kapeti,
ocean.
Oceani.
Climate change.
Is it a recent song?
No, it's not a recent
It's an
song.
old song.
Okay. This is before Fake?
Yeah,
Way
before
before
fake.
fake.
Ian has got it. Shouldn't have given him time. Shouldn't have given him time.
Kapeti. Oh, fuck. No.
Yeah,
I don't have it.
Come to the rescue.
I know the song.
Wow. Why did I pick this guy?
Okay, let me give you a clue. Hassa.
From the family, yeah. That's the tackle for Ian.
What's Hassa?
Hey,
Funny how I know that.
What's the chorus? Let's hear the chorus.
First repeat the lyrics.
Ennaku zino tubeera mu ocean. Let me even sing.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Ennaku zino tubeera mu ocean security tight, mu ocean muli mu carpet, eno carpet tight mu bullet.
This is crazy. I feel like I'm getting there. This is like Radio Weasel time.
You are getting closer.
The raga artist.
Yeah.
Was this Caesar, man?
Yeah, put money on that on 624404.
Tell
Who was
me,
it?
who's
Who
the
was
artist?
it?
Red button.
Okay.
You make me go so
I
high.
could have
No, I
never
don't even
guessed.
know that song. So
Okay.
You did have to guess Ian. He asked that on the Damzi episode last season.
We didn't have a radio. back
Abaasa,
then.
Yeah,
this one, if you don't get it, we are deleting your episode.
We'll just bleep out all my
Because
jazz.
this one, I'm sure you did some work on this one.
Okay, let's hear it. I told you I'm horrible at lyrics, so like, but just give me a
Chiwatule
try.
naalya beddira kerere tebalina biku oba nkuyege bo ba corporate private number plate.
This is a rapper.
Read the first line.
Okay, please read the line. Read the first line.
Chiwatule naalya
That's enough, to be honest.
It's not a rapper.
beddira kerere tebalina biku oba nkuyege
They don't have bed bugs or something. Yeah?
bo ba corporate private number plate.
Yeah.
I
That's a
think
rapper.
I think I should say corporate because
It's
that's
not
what
a
the guy
rapper,
says.
It's not a rapper.
It's not a rapper. It's not a rapper.
He's a singer.
Yeah, singer. Yeah, and he's also
Cosine.
struggling.
Yeah.
Well done. Ovelawa.
Oh, okay. Because me, I just understand like how he put lyrics together was so brilliant. Like he would talk about something, but with really like, I don't know, like complicated jazz.
This one, in case you can't get it, pass it to Mark.
Okay.
Nze kyemanyi nakulira ku kidima. Mu byenina nina stamina.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm close.
Ensimbi sirina naye omukwano gwo nina.
Repeat?
I'm also saying it.
Well.
Yeah.
Nze kyemanyi nakulira ku kidima.
Chidima.
Mu byenina nina stamina. Ensimbi sirina naye omukwano gwo nina.
This sounds like a verse in like Mr. DJ or something. But that era, right?
They are there.
It was recent. It's not recent.
It's not recent.
Yeah. It's like Mr. DJ period. Like Mr. DJ.
I would say post Mr. DJ.
After Mr. DJ.
Yeah.
And before.
Before.
It's Grace Nachime.
Grace
Remember?
Hey, close, but
Okay.
okay. Here's the clue.
Uh-huh.
The name of the song is in that line I just read.
Stamina.
Yeah.
This is like fucking
We have still forgotten.
Windic. The Windic around that period. Because Stamina was released around that time, right?
Somehow.
So Stamina.
I say that's the name of the song. Now I need the artist.
No, we said
Well,
that's the name of the song.
Eddie
Hey.
Kenzo. Come
Well
on.
done. Guys, we are going to wrap it up here.
Next time, first bring some English lyrics.
I know, but like English, come on, like
Diversity. You can't speak in English.
Diversity, you only gave us one language.
And today, I was here for my Natete people.
not the Bakuli people.
Shout out to Publicist Natete. Guys, thanks for Abaasa. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, it's been fun.
My co-host, thanks for being well behaved.
Man, we
Been
tried.
good, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
until you brought the story of the goat, but anyway.
Guys, thanks for supporting us. Thanks for watching last week's episode. Sorry.
That's episode week.
Yeah. And continue supporting. Don't forget to
When will this be
624
out?
next week Tuesday.
So every Tuesday, yeah?
Yeah.
And you put a
That's
drop for yourself.
Thursday.
Yeah, put a drop
Thursday.
for your podcast. Be like, guys, every Thursday.
Our guys, they subscribe. They know.
Yeah.
They have the alarm ting. Guys, see you.